Most people think engine trouble has to mean an expensive trip to the dealership. You hear a rough idle, a little hesitation, maybe a strange hiccup when you pull onto the highway and your stomach drops. Because you already know what comes next. You already know what that service desk is going to say, and you already know the number they are going to hand you is going to start with a 5 or a 6 and end with a 0. But here's the thing. The reality is completely different from what you have been told. It is cheap. It is fast. It costs about $3. And dealers have been keeping you in the dark for decades. That changes today. Stay here. Because what I am about to show you is the part that makes every dealership service department deeply uncomfortable. Think about the last time your car ran a little rough. Maybe it stumbled at a red light. Maybe it felt sluggish off the line. Maybe the fuel economy quietly dropped and you just figured the car was getting old. You took it in, or you thought about taking it in. And someone in a uniform either told you it was your fuel injectors, your throttle body, your fuel system, or some combination of all three. And the quote they handed you was somewhere between $400 and $600. For a cleaning, that is it. A cleaning. Not a new part, not a rebuild, a cleaning. And you either paid it or you drove home worried. Here is what they never told you. There's a bottle on the shelf of almost every auto parts store in the world. It costs $3, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, about right around $3. You pour it into your gas tank, you drive. And for the overwhelming majority of the rough idle, hesitation, and fuel economy problems that send people to the dealership every single day, that bottle fixes it. Completely. The dealers know this. They have always known this. And the reason you never heard about it is because your not knowing is worth $600 to them every single time. There is a mechanic in Osaka, Japan, who has been running his own small garage since the early 1990s. His name is not important. What is important is what he does. He runs a fleet of 11 taxis. Every single one of those taxis has over 400,000 kilometers on the clock. That is 250,000 miles. And not one of them has ever had a professional fuel system service done at a dealership. Not once. Every few thousand miles, he adds a small bottle of fuel system cleaner to the tank before filling up. That is the entire routine. His engines run clean. His drivers do not complain about hesitation or rough idle. And he has never written a check to a dealership for something he figured out costs $3. The only difference between him and you is that someone told him this existed. Today, someone is telling you. Now let me explain what is actually happening inside your engine right now. Because once you understand this, the $3 fix makes complete sense. And the $600 service starts to look like exactly what it is. Your engine runs on fuel. That fuel travels from your tank through a series of small passages and tiny nozzles called injectors. Think of those injectors like the nozzle on a garden hose. When the nozzle is clean and open, water comes out in a perfect, fine mist, even and smooth. That fine mist is exactly what your engine wants. Fuel delivered in a perfect, even spray burns cleanly and completely. Your engine runs smooth. It pulls strong. It sips fuel the way it was designed to. But here's the problem. Fuel is not perfectly clean. It carries tiny deposits, invisible ones. And every time your engine runs, those deposits stick to the inside of the injector nozzles. Over months and years, that buildup grows. The nozzle that used to spray a perfect mist now dribbles. It squirts unevenly. Instead of a fine cloud of fuel, you get a crooked stream. And a crooked stream does not burn cleanly. It burns partially. It leaves carbon on your pistons, on your intake valves, inside your combustion chamber. Your engine works harder to do the same job. You feel that as a rough idle, as hesitation, as fuel economy that quietly gets worse every few months, and you never quite know why. This is what is actually happening to your car right now. Not a major failure, not a dying engine, just buildup. Invisible, slow, completely fixable buildup. And this is the part that makes every dealership service department deeply uncomfortable. What the $3 bottle actually does is almost insultingly simple. The cleaner inside that bottle is a solvent. Think of it like dish soap for the inside of your engine. You know how dish soap breaks down grease on a pan? It grabs the grease, surrounds it, and lets the water carry it away. This cleaner does the same thing to those deposits inside your injectors. You pour it in the tank. It mixes with the fuel. It travels through the whole fuel system just like the fuel does. And as it passes through those clogged injector nozzles, it dissolves the buildup. It breaks it down into tiny particles that burn right along with the fuel. The next time you look at the exhaust, those particles are already gone. You will not even notice. But your engine will. Your injectors open back up. The spray goes back to being a clean, even mist. The fuel burns the way it is supposed to. The rough idle goes away. The hesitation smooths out. Your fuel economy creeps back up toward what it used to be. For $3 and about 30 miles of driving, the fuel injection service the dealership sells you, it does the same thing. The chemical they use to clean your injectors is the same family of solvent. in a fancier container, applied by a technician who hooks up a machine that costs them $300 and has been fully paid for 1,000 times over. They charge you $600 for labor, for the machine, for the branded chemical, and for the simple fact that you walked in not knowing this was something you could do for $3 on your own. That is the whole secret. That is all of it. Now think about what this actually means. A $3 bottle that dissolves the buildup your dealership charges $600 to remove. For an industry that makes billions every single year from the problems, it could just tell you how to solve yourself. Your car does not know the difference between the $3 cleaner and the $600 service. Your injectors do not know. Your engine does not know. The only thing that changes is the number that comes out of your wallet, and now you know that. If you have made it this far, you already know more about fuel systems than most people who have been driving for decades. So let me tell you exactly what to do, because knowing is only half of it. Here's exactly what to do. And I want you to notice how simple this is. First, where to get it. Any auto parts store carries this. The big chain ones, the small independent ones, most hardware stores carry it too. You do not need to order anything online. You do not need to wait for delivery. You can walk in today and walk out with everything you need in under 5 minutes. You are looking for a fuel system cleaner, not a fuel additive that claims to boost octane or increase power, just a fuel system cleaner. Fuel injector cleaner is another name for the same thing. The bottle will be small, about 12 ounces or so. It will cost you around $2 to $4. That is the one. Second, what to look for on the bottle. You want one that says it cleans fuel injectors and the fuel system. That is all. Ignore anything that makes bigger promises than that. Ignore anything that claims to add horsepower or clean your entire engine in one pour. Simple. Fuel system cleaner, fuel injector cleaner. That is your target. Third, how to use it. This is the part where most people expect a complicated set of steps. There are no complicated steps. You open your gas cap, you pour the bottle in, you fill your tank with fuel right after. That is it. The fuel mixes with the cleaner and carries it through the whole system. You do not need to do anything else. No tools, no lifting the hood, no disconnecting anything. You just drive. Fourth, how long it takes. You will spend about 45 seconds actually doing this. The driving afterward is not extra time you spend. It is just the driving you were already going to do. After about 20 to 30 miles of normal driving, the cleaner has moved through the system and done its work. Some people notice the difference before they even finish the tank. A smoother idle, a little more crispness off the line, a slightly better number at the pump next time you fill up. Total cost, $3. Total time, under 1 minute of actual effort. No mechanic, no tools, no appointment, no waiting room with bad coffee and a television showing daytime talk shows while someone figures out how to phrase the bill. The same result at a dealership costs $600. They recommend it every 30,000 miles. For most drivers, that is every 2 to 3 years. Over 10 years of driving, that is somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 for something you can do yourself every single tank if you wanted to, for $3 each time. Think about that. Just sit with that number for a second. A mechanic in rural Tennessee has been running a small car service business for over 20 years. He uses this on every single vehicle that comes into his shop before he does anything else. Does not matter what the customer complained about. Rough, idle, poor fuel economy, hesitation, stalling. He adds the cleaner to the tank. He drives the car around the block a few times. And in more cases than he can count, the problem is simply gone before he even opens the hood. He told a reporter once that it handles more than half his walk-in complaints before he touches a single tool. He charges $15 for the service because he's honest. And his waiting room is always full. The mechanic who charged you $400 last year knew this existed. They just never said anything, because saying something was worth nothing to them, not saying something was worth $400. Here is what I want you to understand about the dealers and the big service chains. They are not stupid. They are not incompetent. They know exactly what causes a rough idle. They know exactly what cleans a fuel injector. They know a $3 bottle of cleaner and 30 miles of driving fixes the same problem their $600 service fixes. They know this better than anyone. And every single time a car pulls into their bay with a stumbling engine and a worried owner, they make a choice. They choose the invoice. Every time. Because that is how the business works. Your confusion is the product. Your not knowing is the revenue. And they have spent decades making absolutely sure that you keep not knowing. But now you know. And that puts you in exactly the same position as the mechanic in Osaka with his fleet of taxis that never seem to age. You do not have to play by their rules anymore. You do not have to walk into that service bay and hand over $600 for something you can do in your driveway in under a minute. You have the information now. And information, once you have it, cannot be taken back. Every car you have ever owned has had this problem building quietly inside it. Every tank of fuel leaves a little more behind. Every mile adds a little more to the buildup on those injectors. And every time you ignored a rough idle or accepted a sluggish throttle as just the car getting older, it was the buildup talking. Not the age of the engine, not a failing part, just buildup. $3 worth of buildup. That is all it ever was. If this video opens something for you, share it right now. Do not save it. Do not bookmark it for later. Share it right now. Every single share puts this in front of someone who is still sitting in a dealership waiting room right now, watching that number on the estimate climb, not knowing there is a $3 bottle on a shelf 2 miles away that fixes exactly what they came in for. Every share is worth real money to someone who does not know this yet. Subscribe, because the next one is about a $5 trick that adds years to your brake pads. And if you drive anything with more than 40,000 miles on it, you're going to want to see that one before your next brake inspection. Because the conversation at that service desk is going to go very differently when you walk in knowing what you are about to know. The dealers knew this the whole time. Every single time you paid $600 for a fuel system service, they knew. Every time they handed you that invoice with a straight face, they knew. And they said nothing. Because your not knowing was worth $600 to them. Again and again and again. For as long as you kept not knowing. But that is done now. You know. And now, so does everyone you share this with.